Can Wine Podcast. This is Season 4, Episode 15, and our fantastic journey continues. Woo-hoo! As we head to the other coast of the United States to try Broc Cellars from Berkley, California. But before we get to that, we have to have our Wine Nerd Word of the Week. Phenols. Now, phenols are several hundred chemical compounds that impart taste, color, as well as mouthfeel. And one of the big phenols is tannins, which are a type of phenol, a polyphenol, and you're very familiar with the tannic taste. And today we're going to be looking at Broc Cellars 355 millimeter Love Red. Now, we've had a Broc Cellars before from a wine merchant on Ludlow Street that I picked up one from there, but this one doesn't come from there. A little more on that. Now, this Broc Cellars is a 355 ml Love Red wine. It's 12% alcohol. Broc Cellars is a product of Chris Brockway, who since 2002 has gone out of the way to make very crafty California wines using California grapes. He uses native yeasts. All of the wines or the grapes from this come from California, and he buys them from various organic producers. All of the grapes are produced organically. And where did I get it from? This came from as I'd mentioned before, sometimes I go on a trap line and I scuttle around looking for wine. And on my trap line trip to Ridgefield, Connecticut, where I ended up having lunch, a really good elk burger with blue cheese. But I'm digressing. I met my friend Russ there, and we chatted about all things as we're coming to the end of the year. And I went to Ancona's winery, or liquor and spirits, because they had a big selection of NA wines. And I was trying to get some interesting NA wines because we're coming up to dry January, and we're going to be doing a big feature on that. I'm not going to go completely NA because I'm not a quitter, but I think that's a big market, and I really enjoyed some of the NA wines. So I went to Ancona's. They had some great stuff, and they also, I spied on the thing, a good selection of these Love Red. Now, typically you can get a 355 from somebody like Union Wines or one of the big producers, Dark Horse. These can be quite inexpensive. This is a half of a bottle of wine, and you can get it for, ultimately under $10. This one, not so much. It's a little more money, but when you see the way Chris Brockway does it, using the native grapes and California native grapes, natural production techniques and all that, it's a little bit more crafty. And they're also grown on a lot of old heritage vines. This particular one is 56% Carrigan, 22% Shiraz, 12% Cremache, and 10% Valdique. Hope I got those all right. And it's partially carbonic maceration. It's fermented in stainless steel tanks and then finished in French oak barrels, which probably imparts some vanilla flavors. We're talking about phenols, so those are some of the things that it would impart, as well as some of that smokiness. So we're very excited to try this. Now, this is a limited production. There was only 412 cases of this produced, so you do the math at 24 cans a case. It's not a huge production, and that's the thing with Broc Cellars. They get real nice stuff and put it together and get it to us in this format. They also make stuff in bottles, but of course this is the canned wine podcast, so we are featuring the stuff that comes in cans. And Broc Cellars, again, is out of Berkley, California. Berkley is a place I'm familiar with. At one point I took a trip to San Diego many years ago, and ultimately to Tijuana, and the Volkswagen I was driving had a starter problem. Now, fortunately, it had also had a standard transmission, so if you parked right, you could get it to start early in the morning by just letting it roll down the hill and bump starting it. So I went into Berkley Volkswagen, and they told me the price to replace the starter. And I realized that if I replaced my starter, I would be finishing my trip there. So I talked to the person I was traveling with, and we agreed that we would do bump starting all the way to Tijuana. Although the car never made it to Tijuana, we stopped in San Diego and took the bus at the behest of my aunt, who was a native Californian at that point. She was in Anaheim, and she said, don't take your car to Mexico. That's not a good scene. So, well, it was like a $10 bus trip down to Mexico, and it was very good. That was the last time I was in Berkley, California. It seemed like a very nice place, although the several $100s for the starter was a non-starter for me. And I got that 75 Volkswagen back up to Canada, and we realized that as long as you, it would start first thing in the morning, but once you got heated up, it would shut down. So that's a Volkswagen story. At any rate, what else do we do here on the Can Wine Podcast? Well, we open cans of wine and we talk about it. And it's come to that point in today's episode where we're going to open this live red and continue to talk about it. So without any further ado, well, in pouring this, I noticed it had a very garnet color. It has lots of grape overtones. I can smell some of those phenols. Very jammy. That's probably a combination of the carbonic maceration, which helps to bring out those fruit flavors, as well as the stainless steel, which helps with the brighter fruity flavors. I taste some dark cherry. Spicy overtones. I had a Malbec on last week at a party. Came from a bottle, but hey, we're not all about the container, and it was very spicy. This is not tremendously spicy, but it's a very well-made wine. I'm liking it. The color is, I'd say, purplish to a garnet, which is about what you'd expect for those types of grapes. Well done. I'm going to enjoy this with a, we got a spicy chicken stir fry coming up with ginger and some other vegetables mixed in with it. So that should go with this. They recommend it could be paired with the Great. I don't disagree. This could be paired with the Great Outdoors. Shout out to our friends in Port Protection. Paul, you can see I'm wearing the Canned Wine Podcast knit cap, which you certainly would be well attired if you're wearing yours. Stay warm and keep out of the snow. We have snow here now too in New York. Only about 6 inches, but it came down pretty quick and caused all kind of trouble on the roads. But yeah, we plowed it out because we get lots of snow here all the time. And we're supposed to be up to 50, or for those of you following in Canada, and I know there's a few of you, that's about 10 degrees. It's about 10 degrees by the middle of the week. I am getting over a bit of a cold, so I may sound a little bit hoarse, but hey, stuff happens. And Paul, keep up those videos. Appreciate you taking a look at people's houses when you're away in Mexico. It's the best thing you can have is someone shooting some video of your house, even if you have to lend them a shovel so they can dig their way over to the work shed. Now, our head scratcher for the week. What year did Chris Brockway start making wine in his unique and very natural method. What year did Chris Brockway start his winemaking enterprise? Now, if somebody is the first person that responds to our YouTube or sends me any kind of note, I won't be looking for caller 7. I'll be looking for caller 1. Put us in there. We just love when people comment and we respond back to it. I have this really cool Thanks a Brunch card, and I will send that to you from New York with our thanks. And always appreciate the listeners, and I'm going to appreciate drinking this great wine. So as always, we open cans of wine and talk about it. It's been quite a journey. Episode 15 isn't halfway through. That happens sometime in January, I think. But those will stack up quickly because we got a big dry January thing that's going to happen in combination with our regular wine stuff. We'll do some extra episodes. And I've found some really fantastic NA stuff. I've got some really good wines that are not NA, and I've got some more guests coming up. Right now, our intrepid wine traveler, Kenny, is far in northern Ontario, but his route took him in a way that he couldn't really pack any cans with him. So we'll have Kenny back and some other of the regulars through the holidays and into the new year. So thanks again. Now, in closing, thank you for tuning in to the Can Wine Podcast, where we open cans of wine and talk about it. And remember to enjoy responsibly. Just because it comes in a fantastic black can like this doesn't mean you can put it on your car or your snowmobile or your boat or anything. Just take it easy, people. Enjoy this stuff at home where it belongs, or on the beach, or when you have somebody that can drive you around. And just because it comes in a can doesn't mean you should be drinking and driving. The Can Wine Podcast is a Center Stage production, all rights reserved.